Welcome to Wisco Legacy. I'm your host, Corey Kundert. On Wisco Legacy, we talk to inspiring Wisconsinites to hear all about their life's journey. Today, we're joined by Jon Reader. Jon Reader is the associate head coach for the Wisconsin Badger wrestling team. He's been in Madison for about 4 years now. He came from South Dakota State with head coach Chris Bono, who was episode 2 of Wisco Legacy. So if you're interested in Wisconsin wrestling, go check that one out. Coach Reader and I talked about his wrestling career. We talked about some time at Iowa State, winning the NCAA title. We spent a lot of time talking about the Wisconsin Badgers, what makes Madison special, and the team this year. Such a fun group to follow along. Really young team this year. Really excited to see where the Wisconsin team's going to end up this year and in the future. And with that, we'll dive into episode 19 of Wisco Legacy with the associate head coach of the Wisconsin Badger wrestling team, Jon Reader.
Hi guys, hello. My name is Jon Reader. I'm the associate head coach in the University of Wisconsin wrestling program, and this is my Wisco Legacy.
All right, Coach Reader, I'm fired up for this conversation today. Welcome to Wisco
Legacy. Are you as fired up as I am?
I'm going to try and match your energy. We'll see what happens.
All right.
So I want to start with getting into wrestling. What brought you to wrestling?
So I grew up in a very blue-collar family. I had an older brother and a younger sister, and just two parents that were collegiate athletes and really just instilled a hard-nosed, hard work ethic, never quit that's how I was raised, right? And, how I got exposed to the sport of wrestling. My dad actually played Division I football at Indiana State, and I want to preface this because this is how I got exposed. So I've been told. So my dad played football at Indiana State, and he was a big lineman, and this is the same era that Larry Bird was playing basketball at Indiana State. And this is the same era that Bruce Baumgartner was having a legendary NCAA career at Indiana State at the same time. So my dad didn't really have any history with wrestling. And one day the wrestling coach came out to the football team and said, hey, we're looking for some big guys. We don't have enough bodies for Bruce to just wrestle with. Will any of you big guys come out and let him, you guys rotate it on him? And my dad said he raised his hand and he went out to practice with 4 or 5 other his buddies, and he said that was the last day he ever went to practice. But he said he fell in love with the sport. It was just there was something about it that he was drawn to, the physicality, the mentality of the sport. He was always had an extreme appreciation for the sport. So fast forward, obviously having 2 sons of his own. My older brother is 2 years older than me, and naturally he wanted us to probably lean towards football, but my parents were always very, very supportive. Wherever our passions were, they were going to give us a million different opportunities to pursue those. So we did start out in the Pop Warner footballs, the Pop Warner baseballs, and, just getting us exposed to any sports we could. But it wasn't until, we were in Pop Warner baseball and my brother and I were on the same team, and we weren't the best of athletes at that age. I think our attention span was part of the problem. And, so the coach always stuck us way out in the outfield in T-ball, right? The ball is never going out that far. And I'll never forget, most baseball games, the two of us were fighting or wrestling or, doing something way out in the outfield. And it just, lo and behold, there was a local wrestling coach there. His name was Julius Medina. And that guy really changed my life when it came to the sport of wrestling. He came up to my dad and said, hey, I'm starting a youth program here in town. Would you bring your boys out? They look like they would be right up. This would be right up their alley. And my dad said, absolutely. I'll bring them out. And to this day, I'm extremely appreciative of that youth coach because the impact that he had on me as a young kid and how he made it. I was excited to come to practice. His time, I felt like it was 100% focused on those kids when we were in there. And now, being a father of my own and taking my kids to different sports, I can just see the disconnect. And there's, some kids are real, excited about a sport, but it comes from that teacher, that coach that, is let them fall in love with the sport. So in a roundabout way, man, I came to the sport from playing a T-ball game, sitting out in the outfield, fighting with my brother.
Nice. Wrestling is a unique sport. It had the most impact in my life. I was a multi-sport athlete too. And it's just an incredible sport. What drew you to it specifically when you were a kid? Why did you continue with it and all that?
Well, I think, as a young kid, I did have, kind of a quick, I found success pretty early on, even in the youth sport. So all of a sudden, it became very enjoyable for me. But I think that at the time when I first got involved in the sport, it was something about my coach made it so much fun for me to come to practice. I couldn't wait for school to get done, for me to go home, and mom and dad to take me to youth practice. I just couldn't wait, and there was something about being able to control my own destiny and control my own outcome, and having my parents that was what they preached day in and day out. You give your best effort, you listen to coach, and you go out there and have fun. And that was my only expectation. So when I went to practice, I gave my full effort. I hustled every time I could, get to practice. It was all 100% effort, and I quickly started to see results from that. And again, I was very, very fortunate to have parents that gave me opportunities to travel across the country and go to these tournaments. And but no doubt about it, it was something about being able to control my own. I didn't have to rely on anybody else on a team. I didn't have to throw a ball to somebody, that guy drops it, and now we're losing or something like that. It was just you work as hard and work as smart as you can, and have fun and learn the basic skills, and you really control your destiny.
Sounds like you had a really great environment around you growing up. Who are some impactful people you had around you besides your family?
Hands down, it was 100% my mom and dad, and I give a complete credit to my mom and dad. No doubt about it. They were the two individuals that gave me absolutely every opportunity to succeed in my life, and to this day, they're just extremely supportive of anything that I am doing. They're still giving me advice. I'm 34 years old, and my parents are still giving me wisdom. And when you have that kind of support around you, that it doesn't matter where you are in life or what you're chasing, they're always going to sit there and support you, and in whatever way they can help you, they can help you. But my dad and mom were athletes themselves, so they understood, and they were collegiate athletes, so they understood, the commitment, the discipline, the passion, the dedication that it took to get to another level. And they said, listen, you can play any sport you want. I don't care what you do. If you want to be a pianist, if you want to be a chess player, if you want to be a wrestler, football, baseball, fill in the blanks. All I expect from you is just to listen to your coach, give your full effort, and have fun. That's all I care about. That's it. And as a young kid, hearing that from your parents, and it's not like, you got to go win this tournament, or you're not going to the next one, or something like that. And that's not how I was raised. And I had two parents that were extremely, extremely supportive. And like I said, they were extremely selfless, and they gave me and my brother and my sister every opportunity to be exposed to high-level coaching, to tournaments across the country. And, like I said, their own needs were at the back of the line when it came to me and my siblings. And when you got parents like that, that's extremely fortunate. I know not a lot of kids, not everybody has those kind of opportunities. And so, again, just very fortunate. And then secondly, it's just, looking back on my youth career and where things could have went differently if I was exposed to a different youth coach. And his name was Julius Medina, and it's somebody that I still to this day have an extremely close relationship with. And I started wrestling when I was 6 years old, and that's when I first fostered that relationship with this guy. I was 6 years old, and the impact that he made on me, it was almost like an extended family member, and somebody that when I was around him, I could feel like he valued my time just as much as I valued coming to practice. And it wasn't, in between in him teaching me a move, he goes and sits on his phone at practice. It wasn't about that. It was, this guy had a full-time job, a family to support, and he started his own youth program while having a full-time job. And then on top of that, would do youth practices at nights, 4 nights a week. And then after practice was done, if kids had questions, he was sitting there for an hour and a half explaining technique. And in today's day and age, I feel like, that's very unheard of. That's an extreme passion to help others and uplift others around you. And like I said, if I could go back and, what happens if I didn't go to that club, or my dad wasn't exposed to, having that opportunity to bring his sons to that club, I don't know if my career would have went a different way. I fell in love with the sport because of the passion that Julius Medina, Coach Medina, gave to me, and he made it so fun for me to come to practice. And I can't emphasize that enough. And now, like I said, having kids, that's the same thing I preach to my daughter and my son. Is just listen to Coach. I'm here. I'm dad. I want to be dad. go listen to coach, give your full effort, and have fun. That's it. And I just hope and pray that the coaches that my kids are exposed to, they value those kids' time and give their whole heart and soul into to teaching those kids, because these are the kids of the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've taken the lessons you learned when you were a kid and translated that into your coaching career now. You can see it with your social media presence, how you are at dual meets and tournaments. You can see that passion throughout.
Yeah, absolutely. And the passion that I put on social media, that's truly me. I wear my heart on a sleeve, and again, it really comes back to my mom and dad. These are just the things and the mentality and just the mental approach that my mom and dad, every single day when I would wake up, I would come down to the breakfast table and my mom said, little things, that this is going to be the best day ever. Or dad said, just, go have fun, attack it, focus on today. Those were things I heard every single day, and just a positive, upbeat mentality is something that I was born and raised around. And I'm very fortunate to be in a position now where I'm coaching at the University of Wisconsin, and feel like extremely grateful to rub that off on my athletes and in our staff, and it's always about how can we get better as a cohesive unit, and how can we uplift these athletes to be the best version of themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to fast forward a bit. You were a highly decorated wrestler in high school, one of the top wrestlers in the nation. Want to talk about your recruitment to Iowa State.
Okay.
That's where you ended up. And can you talk about your recruitment process, and were there other schools that you were interested in, or was it always Iowa State?
Yeah, so it's funny, right? So I'm actually coaching here now with Coach Bono, obviously, and the two of us actually built our relationship prior when I was getting coached in high school. So it's really a surreal and a really cool moment. The two of us started our relationship really initially. I was a junior in high school, and he was an assistant coach at Iowa State underneath the legendary Bobby Douglas. And Cale Sanderson was the other assistant coach at Iowa State at the time. And that's really where I first initially built my relationship with Chris, was, a couple phone calls here before he actually transitioned to being a head coach at another university. But I always grew up, again, I'm just very, very fortunate and grateful to have a father and a mother like I did, that, even the most subtle of things, they would purchase the Win magazine, the USA Wrestling magazine, and that would always come to the house once a month. And being a kid who kind of really idolized those athletes, just like any other kid would idolize or look up to Michael Jordan or fill in the blanks, I was that kid that was bringing those USA Wrestling magazines and the USA Wrestling magazine, and as soon as they would hit my mailbox, I would cut out pictures. And I would put them in my room, all over my wall, and it would be pictures of guys getting their hand raised in the NCAA finals, or winning the U.S. Open, or winning a world title. And in that time frame, Iowa State was having a lot of success. They had the Cale Sandersons and the Joe Heskets and the Chris Bonos and the Dwight Hensons and on and on and on. And so I kind of had this natural attraction to that program, because I had a lot of their pictures all over my wall. And so when time came that I was starting to get recruited, and again, I go back to my father. I went to every single tournament I could possibly put my hands on or be involved in all through high school, and that was credit to my mom and dad. Getting off work late on a Friday and driving me to anywhere in the country to help me get that opportunity to number one, be seen by college coaches and to wrestle the best competition I could get. And when it came time to be recruited, Iowa State was one of my very first phone calls, and it was Cale Sanderson, and him coming off his Olympic title and the run that he had. Again, it was like a surreal moment, and I'll never forget. It came down to, I had 5 schools that I visited. It was Iowa State, obviously, Oklahoma State, Minnesota, Virginia Tech when Tom Brands was at Virginia Tech, and Nebraska. And I took my visit to Iowa State, and I quickly found that this is the place that I truly believed I could be the best version of myself. And it was, again, around a very positive staff, a staff that believed in me, and I believed in them. And when I was going through my recruiting process, I was not looking for a business transaction, so to speak, if you understand what I mean. I was looking for a relationship. I was looking for somebody that was going to be 1,000,000% behind me and believed in me, and around a team that had really high goals and understood the purpose of being a student athlete, and they wanted to win, and that was my mentality. I wanted to win. I wanted to be on a team that wanted to win. And when I got to Iowa State, I felt like that was the place for me, and was very grateful to commit to Iowa State. And my parents were extremely happy. And looking back, it was pretty far away from home, right? And now having kids of my own, I hope one day that they have the opportunity to stay close to home. But they were extremely supportive and said, "Listen, this is the place that you feel." It wasn't their decision; it was all my decision. And they said that you're going to be a man, and this is going to be your first tough decision, because this is going to take you in a path that's going to lead you down where you feel like you're going to be the best version of yourself. And when I made that decision, I wholeheartedly made that decision, and I didn't look back. And I got to Iowa State, and I put my head down, and that's all my parents told me. They said, "Go there, put your head down, go to work, and you're going to have a great career." And I did, and I went there, and I tried to give my best effort every single day to accomplish my goal of being a national champ. And that's something that from a very, very young age, my dad always would turn on ESPN, and we would watch the NCAA finals. And I'll never forget, maybe 15, 16 years old, I looked at my dad and said, I want to be a national champ. Someday I want to be a national champ. I'm going to be a national champ. And, he would always tell me, you put your head down, you do the work, no limit will be put on you. And I went to Iowa State, and like I said, I felt like this could be the place that would help me be in that position to win a national title. And very lucky to have accomplished that at the end of my career. And truly loved my entire career at Iowa State, both as a student and as an athlete. I met my wife there very first semester at school, and just very grateful to have built the relationships and been exposed to the people that I was exposed to. And being a student athlete at Iowa State, I took a lot of pride in that. I took a lot of passion to represent the Cyclones, and I have lifelong friends and supporters that I still talk to this day, and like they're like family, right? When I went there, I dove in both feet in, and that's really who I am, right? I either go as 0 or 100%, and you could tell pretty much all the time I'm at 100%. And so when I got to Iowa State, like I said, I jumped in wholeheartedly and attacked it, and just very, very grateful for everything that I was provided at the University of Iowa State.
Yeah, relationships are huge, especially in that transition phase from high school to college. A lot of people they struggle with that transition. As a collegiate wrestler, you're coming into a new environment with new coaches, new teammates, and things like that. It's a tough transition on top of school and all that. Being away from home, it's definitely challenging too. But you had some great role models. Coach Bono was there. Cale Sanderson was there. You had a whole bunch of other coaches and people there to help support you.
Yeah, not a lot of people understand this, but actually, I tell the story a lot, and I'm actually very, very proud and very, very grateful for the experiences that I went through at Iowa State, because little people know this, that I actually went through 3 different head coaches when I was at Iowa State, with a multitude of assistant coaches. And when you look at a student athlete's experience at a university, majority of the time it's 5 years, right? Well, I went through 3 coaches in 5 years, and that is unheard of when you talk about. Most of the time when you get recruited, it's going to be that staff that's going to follow you through your career. And so I got recruited by Coach Douglas and Bobby and Coach Bono. But when I transitioned from my senior year in high school into Iowa State as a freshman, that transition happened. Coach Sanderson took over, which the 99.9% of the recruiting process was through me and Coach Sanderson, and that's really why I was going there. And so when I got there, he brought in his staff, which is his current staff at Penn State. So I had those guys for 3 years, and then going into my junior year, that's when Coach Sanderson was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to go to Penn State, and he transitioned him and his staff and his family to Penn State. And I was fortunate enough to have another opportunity to be exposed to another legend in the sport, and that's Coach Kevin Jackson. And I had his staff, which actually, in a roundabout way again, this is where Coach Bono came back into the story, and he was an assistant coach again at Iowa State. And like I said, I was very, very fortunate to have 3 of the most legendary coaches in the sport of wrestling as my head coaches, and then a multitude of just extremely talented assistant coaches and relationships that I've built with each and one of those. Tim Hartung, one of my closest dear friends, and just a legend in his own right. And like I said, those experiences, I needed each of those at the right time. And I picked each one. I picked each of their brains, and I got a little bit from each of them, and everything kind of fell in place in my senior year. And I truly believe I was blessed and grateful to have that opportunity. A lot of people would look at it and be like, "Man, my college career was terrible. I had so many transitions." No, I thought it was amazing. I thought it was amazing, and I'd do it all over again.
Yeah, great learning experiences to get all those different perspectives from those legendary coaches.
Yep.
A couple of years ago, I was at the Penn State-Wisconsin duel where you honored Coach Douglas, and I could see the connection that you and Coach Bono had with him, and then the connection you have with Cale Sanderson. Can you talk about the impact of those two specifically?
Well, obviously I've got an immense amount of respect for both individuals. Coach Bobby Douglas was he sat and broke bread in my kitchen as a high school junior and believed in me and told me I was going to be the best version of myself. And I built a great relationship with him and very, very grateful to have spent the time and learned from one of the most knowledgeable guys. I promise you, he's probably forgot more than he knows. He knows more than he's probably. He's a wizard when it comes to wrestling. But Cale Sanderson, I just built an extremely close friendship with him, and it was somebody that I could go to any time of the day for anything. And to this day, I'm 34 years old. I was a high school 18-year-old kid when I first was his athlete. And just a relationship that we still have to this day. I'll get a random text here and there, and just he's asking about how my family's doing, or how are you doing, in life. And to have those kind of genuine relationships with somebody, that's what it's all about. And that's why I went to Iowa State, was for the relationships. I'm a relationship guy. I'm not a transactional guy. This is genuine. When you come to the University of Wisconsin and you're a student athlete in our program, you're going to build a very, very strong relationship with your coaching staff because we believe in you and we want you to believe in the program and the staff that you're around. And again, that's what I was all about, because if you have that relationship, you're so much, at least for me, I was so much more willing to fight for somebody that believed in me and I had a relationship with, I was comfortable around. And I want that same relationship with my athletes. And that's something that I put a lot of pride in, is making sure that I completely understand my student athlete when it comes to, what makes them tick in and out of the room, what things are going on in their life. I'm in tune with what's going on at all times. And that's, again, just very fortunate to have been a student athlete to Coach Sanderson and Coach Douglas.
Yeah, you're certainly cultivating that culture here in Madison. So you were a 3-time All-American, national champ your senior year. You faced some adversity your junior year, lost first round at the NCAA tournament. Can you talk about losing that, not becoming an All-American that year, and then taking that and propelling that into your NCAA title?
Well, I think that this is one of my greatest moments in my college career. I really do. And a lot of people are like, well, "You're crazy. You won a national title. Why would you say that to your number one?" Because of this, Corey. This was the moment in my career where I needed this moment in my career to really light a fire that was. I've never been more passionate in my entire life about accomplishing a goal and being the best version of myself when I got knocked down to the very, very bottom of the barrel, so to speak, and have to really truly look and see how tough you really are. What are you all made of? What are you made of? And really dig deep, and that's what I had to do. So to preface it a little bit, my junior year, I think I was a top 3 seed or something like that in the NCAA tournament. But before that, in the Big 12 finals, I was wrestling a really tough opponent, and one of my great friends to this day is Nick Marable. He was wrestling at Missouri, very, very tough opponent. We got into a really crazy scramble at the end of our match, and my knee kind of buckled, and my MCL was torn. And so it was very, 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 unfortunate right at the end of the match. And, it was like 10 seconds left in the match, and that happened. And, I had to lead into the NCAA tournament without hitting my knee, without wrestling 1 second on the mat. I didn't touch the mat for one practice leading into the NCAA tournament. I did all bike works and tried to really just cross train as best I could and keep my mental side of things in check. And I wrestled in the first round of the NCAA tournament against a kid named Chris Brown from Old Dominion, and Chris is a very tough opponent, but I truly believed I was supposed to win the NCAA title that year. And my back it up, I was my sophomore year. I lost on 6 seconds of riding time in the NCAA semifinals to make the finals against a guy I had beat. So that next year, I was already motivated and ready to go, and got to the NCAA tournament, and I was really walking on one leg, and got there and couldn't hit a knee. Obviously, I didn't hit a knee once. So I got to the NCAA tournament with a big old knee brace on. My whole leg was taped up, and didn't get things done. I lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and I'll never forget. I still have those. I still have those flashbacks of hearing Sandy Stevens on the intercom saying, big first round upset. Jon Reader goes down, first round. I was one of the top seeds, right? And it just blew up in a route for some of those guys to make the NCAA finals. Well, I made it all the way back to the round of 12 against a guy that I don't know. I wrestled him in the All-Star duel that year, back when they did the All-Star duel, and was beating him, by 12 or 13 points in the match, and made it back to the blood round, the round of 12, and ended up losing to that guy. So was just a really, really unfortunate tournament, but it was something that I'm extremely grateful that happened to me, because I'll never forget, again, sitting in the stands, watching the NCAA final. I had beaten both guys that were in the finals that season, and I'm not even on the award stand. And I thought to myself, I'm like, I promise you, with everything I have in my body, this will not happen next year. I'm going to be on top of that podium. And it was my mission. Obviously I did a lot of summer wrestling, so obviously with a knee injury, I committed myself to making sure that my body was going to be healthy in the summer. So first and foremost was getting that knee healthy. And I rehabbed that, got back, and it was a quest to, it was a mission to just, how do I get back up on that horse, so to speak, and really attack my goals. So, I got healthy. I made the University World Team that summer, and that propelled me into, making the University World Team. It propelled me into having, training opportunities and different things out at the Olympic Training Center, and being around another group of high-level wrestlers. So I trained all summer long, made the University World Team, and that propelled me into my senior year, where I said, you know what? I was at 165. I was cutting too much weight, and I really truly believed that was probably one of the factors that caused injuries, right? Dehydration, your ligaments, whatever. You get in a bad situation, all of a sudden you got injury. So I said, I'm going up. I'm not cutting any weight my senior year. I'm going 174. I'm going where I feel like I'm going to be the best version of myself. I'm going to come into practice. I'm going to be extremely passionate about getting better and not worried about my weight. And that was my deal. And again, it goes back to my mom and dad. I'll never forget my senior year. Every single day I would get a text message from my mom and dad and just say, it'd just be positive, attack the day, win the day, just very, very uplifting messages every single day. And I had so much fun my senior year, and it flew by quicker than any of the years previously. And it was just one match at a time. And how do I go out there and score points and dominate? That's all I cared about. And really, I was on a mission to prove I was better than what I had showed in that junior year. So I went, I don't remember what my record was, but I wasn't on the podium my junior year. And ultimately, it kept me away from being a 4-time All-American. And there's only been so many of those guys at Iowa State. And again, I was on a mission to prove all the people in my support group, the people that supported the Cyclone Wrestling Club and that program, I wanted to let them know I was better than what I showed my junior year, and went out my senior year and was fortunate enough to go 39-0 and win a national title.
What was that feeling like, getting your hand raised?
It was surreal, right? It was surreal. There was just so much emotion, and really, when people ask me really what that feeling was, it was almost like a numbing, it was like, it was almost deafening in the moment. And it's something that I want our guys to experience, because it was so much. It was going all the way back to when I was 6 years old. It was going all the way back to when I started watching the NCAA tournament when I was 10, 11, 12 years old with my dad. and telling him I was going to be a national champ. It was all those emotions packed into one little 10-second celebration at the end of that match. And, it wasn't just celebrating that one win. It was celebrating years and years of dedication and living to a standard of wanting to be the best version of myself. And when you set out for that kind of a goal and you set those kind of standards for yourself, when you do finally accomplish that goal, it just busts out of me. And the passion really, I was never that kind of guy, right? If you watch any of my other matches, I would never celebrate, because I expected to win. But that finals was like no other, because there again the trials and tribulations and the things that the valleys that I had to come out of, especially that junior year. There was a lot of there was a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, and a lot of anger, and a lot of why me? Why did I have to get hurt? And coming back on a vengeance, it was a very satisfying moment for me, and a very satisfying moment to look over my corner and see Kevin Jackson and see my coaching staff extremely excited for me to accomplish my goals. And then it was more of a happy moment for me to go to my mom and dad and say thank you for all the opportunities you've given me since I was 6 years old. I couldn't have done this without you.
Yeah, adversity builds champions.
Absolutely.
All right, so that also led to one of the most iconic pictures in NCAA wrestling history. The head wrap on your face and blood pouring down. It's pretty awesome. So you spent some time in the freestyle circuit, but then shortly after that, you ended up getting into coaching. What was that transition like? Your identity essentially changed once you stopped competing. A lot of people struggle with that identity when they're done competing in sports. I had Jonathan Orr, a former Badger receiver, on a few weeks ago. He runs a company called Athlete Transition Services, where he talks to people about life after sports. And
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, you guys should,
because it's a real thing. It is a real thing, Corey. And to be honest with you, I struggle to this day because I'm 34 years old, but I still think I'm 18, and I still think I can keep going, and I do, right? I wrestle, run, and lift with the guys every single day, but obviously things have changed, and there is a day when you turn the page and it's not about you anymore, and I'm completely okay with that. And kind of talking about my transition from being a competitive athlete into being a coach, I kind of went around it the hard way, so to speak. So to back up, I graduated college in 2011. And that was when I actually had a coaching role right at my university, my alma mater at Iowa State, right out of college. And I was a volunteer coach. But really, honestly, I had zero responsibilities when it came to coaching. I just showed up to practice and worked out and helped those guys as best I could when I was in town. But the majority of my time, I was probably over at the Olympic Training Center or overseas competing and training in different training camps and being exposed to as much as I possibly could. And that was really my role. So I didn't really have any coaching responsibilities. And once I got a taste of being an international athlete, going to these things, I started to feel like, well, I got third at the World Team Trials, and I was like, I'm this close. I just need to dial it up. I need to turn it up one more notch, and I'm right there. And, a surreal moment. You wrestled your former collegiate coach, Cale Sanderson, in the World Team Toronto Finals to make a World Team. It's kind of a weird deal, right? But I truly felt like I was right there, and I just needed to dial it up, maybe be a little bit more specific in my freestyle training and be exposed to just full-time wrestling in freestyle. So I said, you know what? I talked to Coach Kevin Jackson. I said, where do you want me to go to be a full-time athlete? And he said, you should go to the Olympic Training Center and do that route. So I did that, and I lived there for a year and a half, and I was training, to win a world Olympic title. I think the very first week I was on campus, I tore my ACL, tore everything in my knee, and again, another valley where I'm like, hey, I just moved out here. My goal is to be on the Olympic team, and I just blew my knee out completely. And building myself back up from that injury, and again being back at the 2013 World Team Trials and the 14 World Team Trials, and I was at the 14 World Team Trials, I believe. It was either 13 or 14, and I think I got third or fourth at the World Team Trials. Didn't accomplish my goals, and as you know, in World and Olympic teams, there's only one guy that goes per weight. And so if you're the second guy, it doesn't matter. No one remembers that guy. And I'm not real proud to say this, but I was living at the Olympic Training Center with zero insurance, zero health insurance. I had a wife, our fiance at the time, and we were looking to get married and eventually start a family. And I had zero health insurance, and that just shows kind of the selfish, mentality that I was so focused on winning a world Olympic title, making a team, and doing that I didn't care. I didn't think I would ever get hurt. And so Coach Bono actually called me after the World Team Trials in 13 and 14 and said, "Hey, I've got a coaching position," and he kind of talked to me. He's like, "Dude, what's your future? You're getting second, third, fourth at the World Team Trials. What are you doing? Do you have health insurance?" And I explained that I didn't. And he kind of slapped me and said, "You got to start thinking about your wife. You got to start thinking about your future kids, and that's not the smart and responsible thing to do." And he said, "I got a coaching position available." He was just getting back into coaching, and he's at South Dakota State, and he said, "Why don't you come out and take a trip and check it out?" And I said, "Absolutely." And as you know, our relationship, we're extremely close. So I said, "I'll come out there, and I'll just come out there." And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm not starting my coaching career. I wasn't yet ready to give up on competing, but in my mind, I was like, I'll come out there out of respect for the guy that I built a really, really strong relationship with, him and his family. I'll come out there out of respect. But he suckered me in, and I got to South Dakota State and fell in love with the passion that he had. And as you know, he's just as fiery and as intense as I am. And there's something about passion and intensity and energy in the right direction, and all in and passionate about your goals. And when he kind of laid out what his vision was for his program, and I was like, I'm all in. I told my wife, we're moving to Brookings, South Dakota, and she goes, "What? Where is that?" I cut my teeth in Brookings that was my first real coaching position, and I'm very fortunate and grateful to have went to South Dakota State because it's a different university than where we are here. Excellent university, but it was just differently. You had to wear a lot of different hats when it came to coaching that program. For a couple of years there, Coach Bono and I were the only two on staff. So you had to be your fundraiser, you had to be your social media, you had to be your ticket guy, you had to be the whole 9 yards when it came to running that program. Whereas here at the University of Wisconsin, we've got many people in each of those departments that help alleviate those things. So we got there, and again, like I said, I'm very fortunate to went there because I learned very quickly how to do things and how to be a better coach, because I was thrown into the fire, so to speak, and you better sink or swim. And I'll never forget the very first time I set foot on campus. He said, "This is something that Coach Bobby Douglas did to him as a very young coach." He said, I want to know what your passions are when it comes to coaching." And I'm like, I'm a first day on the job. Obviously I'm a people guy. I love to be around people. I love to talk to people. I love to build relationships. Get me out on the road and I'll talk to anybody. I'll talk to whoever. Just get me in front of recruits and their parents. And I said that I truly feel like I would excel in recruiting. And he said, "All right, you got full control. You got 100% control over recruiting." And I kind of looked and I'm like, how do you do that? And he said, "Nope, this is how you're going to figure out how to recruit on your own. You're going to have, because this is what Bobby did to me, and this will teach you your own system. This will teach you to learn to recruit." And it was very tough at the very beginning, but it's all about being genuine. It's about building relationships, about trust, and being passionate. And everything that I look for as a student athlete, I try to help those kids. And I've come a long way in the last 10 years of coaching, but I truly believe that's where I excel is being around people, being face to face, building relationships, and let them be exposed to that kind of energy they're going to feel here on campus. So that was kind of my first coaching experience, was at South Dakota State, and we haven't stopped, man. We've been together ever since.
Yeah, Coach Bono was on episode 2 of my podcast here, and he talked about the experience at South Dakota State and just the difference between South Dakota State and Wisconsin is pretty big, but it was an incredible experience to really get a holistic look at how to run a program, and you learned a whole lot there. So really great
Absolutely.
experience. So what was that transition like then from going from South Dakota State into Wisconsin? Was there any reservation for you to head into the Big Ten? I know it's a challenging conference.
No, zero.
Yeah.
So I was all in. Obviously I got offered to take that job over at South Dakota State, but my vision in kind of goals for myself, and especially they're aligned directly with Coach Bono and his own personal goals, and that was to put ourselves in the best position to win a national title. And there's only so many universities in the country that have the resources, that have the capability of doing that. And that's just history. That's, if you look back at the history books, there's a handful of teams that are winning the national titles. Now, I'm not saying it can't be done, but I'm saying to put ourselves in the best situation to be national champions. I truly felt that being at a Big Ten program, especially like the University of Wisconsin, we were going to put ourselves in the best situation to do that. So when he got the phone call and he looked at me and said, "Should we do this?" I said, "Dude, you better go there and you better come back with that job because we're going." And I was all in. My wife was all in. We were all in from the get-go. So I'll never forget when he took his recruiting trip, so to speak, to Madison, and he obviously was respectful on his trip and didn't have his phone on, and so you had like a 12-hour window of just dead silence where we didn't hear from him. And I'm pacing around. You know me, I'm intense, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And I'll never forget that phone call. And he said, "I hope you were serious about going to Madison because we're going." And it was just the excitement and it's something new, and it was everything that we had got into coaching. This is why I got into coaching, because I want to be the best version of myself wherever that takes us. My passion is to be the best version of ourselves every single day and put ourselves in that position to do that. And I truly feel like we can do it here. So when that reality came that we were going to Wisconsin, I was like, man, this is why I'm in coaching. This is why I have so much passion, because I want to see how far we can take this. I want to continue to impact and uplift these kids. And now I'm going to be able to do it at an even bigger program and even bigger resources. It's world-class education, world-class athletics in a very unique and incredible city like Madison. It's just a dream come true.
Yeah, you're in year 4 now of
Yep,
being in Madison.
Year 4. It went fast.
Oh yeah, it's hard to believe. I remember when I saw Coach Bono got hired, I was fired up for sure. Can you talk about, there was a culture shift that had to happen when you guys came in? Can you talk about trying to?
You bet. And I'm very open about this. And this is something that any coaches or anybody that's listening, your culture is your most important part of your program. The culture of your program only goes as far as the culture that the leaders build, right? So when we first got here, my perception of the University of Wisconsin was, we're at a Big Ten program. We're going to have 30 guys that are going to be all in. They're going to just be itching. They're going to be crawling to train and attack school and do everything that you ask them to do. Well, we got here and it was completely opposite of what I anticipated. And that's not being right or wrong. It's just there was 30 guys that we didn't recruit. I never built a relationship with. I didn't even know their names. They didn't know who I was, and that's nobody's fault. But for me, when I stepped foot on campus, I truly believe those were our guys. That we signed up for this job. Those were our guys, and I did our very best to build those relationships. But change is hard. Change is hard for anybody. I view change as a good thing. I love change, and I embrace it. And a lot of people, they're very hesitant and very, they resist that change because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, and a lot of people don't want to feel that uncomfortable. Come in and now having a different set of expectations that you weren't recruited on. That's very hard for some individuals. So we came in, we set a baseline culture, and it was a radical change, really. And our program is built on your best hustle, effort, and attitude every single day and everything you do, whether it's your social life, athletic life, or academic life. I'm never going to guarantee you that you're going to be an NCAA champ or an All-American, but I'm going to put you in the best situation to be the best version of yourself. And one thing we do at the very beginning of every season is we set our goals individually, And I want to hear your goals because I'm going to set you. I'm going to hold you accountable. If you tell me you want to be a national champ, a world Olympic champ, I'm going to set you accountable to those goals because there's a standard that you have to live by. If you want to be a national champ, a world Olympic title champ, there's standards. Or you want to just put the Wisconsin singlet on because those are different standards, right? So when we got here and we held people to standards, we held them accountable, or we put in a standard of just giving your best hustle, effort, and attitude. That was the big change, right? So no doubt about it, there was a huge culture shock when we first stepped foot on campus, but I'm very, very confident now, 4 years later, that we have 33 guys on this program, in this program, that are extremely bought in. They love their teammates. They'll take their shirt off for their teammates, and they'll do anything for this program and for this community. And they understand that they're in one of the most unique situations at this part in their life to have a platform to not only uplift and mentor and inspire young future athletes, but they have a duty to give back to their community here in Wisconsin, and we have a lot of passion about that. And that was, again, long story short, very, very dramatic culture shock when we first stepped foot on campus for both parties, really, for both parties. And I'll never forget. I remember in the first couple of days, obviously, you're going through all the facilities and you're going through all the resources. I'm just blown away at what this university provides for its student athletes, and I'm like, we're going to do it. We're going to get it done here. I can't even believe what we were recruiting against when it came to our previous institution recruiting against an institution like this and its resources. I couldn't believe it. And, we just knew that it was going to take time. Obviously, there's no overnight fix, but you eventually over time, you're going to continue to get those guys that believe in what you believe in, and they believe in, best hustle, effort, and attitude, and the way they treat people, the way they give back to the community. And over time, if we just keep doing the right things, like my old man used to tell me, put your head down and do the work. Eventually, things will come out on the other side. And very, very, very grateful that we went again through those hardships. I've only been in coaching about 10 years, and those first 2 years they were the hardest 2 years of my coaching career. But I knew if we just kept doing the right things and continued to passionately attack those each day, that it would turn out all right. And we're there, man. We're on track. The culture is in place, and we're just building every day. We're worried about one day at a time.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see. I mean, you see it all over social media. You see it at the dual meets. The dual meets are way different than they used to be. You got mat side seats. You got the lights down low. The energy in the field house is phenomenal, and that comes from you and Coach Bono, Coach Gross, and the team. It's so fun to see.
Yeah, the energy, that's what we want. We want our guys to be passionate. We tell our guys to be passionate when they compete. They deserve it. They deserve it at the end of that 7 minutes to, get the crowd excited, be passionate. We live passionately in this program, and we coach passionately. We lead passionately. So, again, just very grateful to be at this university and have the resources and have the support, have the athletic department support that we do. And, we're right on track. We've got hefty, high goals in the future, and like I said, we're just taking it one day at a time.
Yeah. So you talked about there's a lot of resources at the university. What makes Madison special?
Well, I think it's the city. I think the city sells itself. When you come to the University of Wisconsin, and Madison especially, obviously we're in between two beautiful lakes. It's called the Isthmus. So our campus is right smack dab in the middle of two beautiful lakes on each side. But the really cool part about this city, Corey, is that it's extremely diverse. It's anything you can possibly think of, whatever you may be into, whatever crowds you want to run with, we have it in Madison. I bet you we have 5 of them. And we have everything you could possibly think of. If you want to be on the water and doing water sports or listening to music, live music on the terrace, or you want to be in the woods hunting, you can do that with all a 10-minute, you can drive 10 minutes and be in the woods, or you can drive 10 minutes and be on the lake. And that is really, really unique. But I think it's the passion about the sports. I think it's the passion about wrestling specifically. I think it's the passion about the people that are passionate about the university here. When you come to Wisconsin, you talk about the Green Bay Packers and you talk about the Wisconsin Badgers, and that's the truth. And we're very, very fortunate to again be at this university and to be leading this program.
Yeah, absolutely. I spent so much time in Madison. I went to Edgewood College, small college in Madison.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome. Love Madison. Do you want to talk about the team that you have this year? You've
Absolutely.
had some pretty good dual meet victories, and
yeah. So we can kind of run through the team real quick. Eric Barnett is having a fantastic. He's coming off an All-American season last year, and one thing that I tell Eric this all the time about how proud I am because just it's his approach to the game every single day, and the way he is all in. No matter if he's got 50% left in the tank, and that's all he's got to give. He's going to give 50%. And, whatever he's got in the tank, he gives it. He brings it, and he brings it wholeheartedly every day. And you can just see the passion in his eyes and the fire in his eyes every time he steps foot in that room. And he was voted a team captain for a reason, right? This guy is very vocal in the room. He leads by example. He's always got words of wisdom to say to these guys and encourage the young guys to continue to do the things that helped him accomplish his goals. And he understands the standard of this program and what it needs to put that Wisconsin singlet on. And he understands that when you go out there and you wrestle for 7 minutes, that the style of Wisconsin wrestling is hard-nosed, in your face, scoring points, aggressive, hustling back to the center. That's the kind of wrestling we want our fans to watch and be passionate about. And Eric is that. He's a dynamic wrestler. He's a guy that's going to get the fans on their feet, and I'm excited about him to wrestle because he can pin you from anywhere. And he's doing a fantastic job. He's wrestled a very tough schedule, and he's continued to do a great job for us. And he's very excited about the opportunities ahead of him. Kyle Berwick, Joe Zargo, they're having a great career. They're having a great season, and Kyle Berwick's figuring it out. He's wrestled a tough schedule, and again, doing everything we ask of him. Joe Zargo, I haven't met too many guys like Joe Zargo that work the way he works. This guy is a tireless worker. Every single day, he's trying to figure out how to get better in any position that he can get better in. And that's very uncommon for a very young kid. I mean, Joe's a freshman, and that's another thing about this team. As a whole, we're very young. We're only losing 2 guys next year out of the starting lineup, and the majority of them have 2-3 years left in their career. So this group is going to be together for the next, however many years together, and that's a really unique thing to have a young team that's having this amount of success, but understands the standard of this program and what we're all about. Our approach to the sport and the way we compete. That's awesome. So moving on, Austin Gomez. He's a transfer from Iowa State. Phenomenal, man. I absolutely love this guy because he's a worker. He's a worker. He leads by example. He's not a guy that's going to rah-rah speech in the room, but he's going to put his head down. He goes to work. He's one of the most technically advanced guys I've ever been around. You watch this guy drill. It's like it's so smooth and so precise and so technically advanced that this guy's his skills are incredible. And he's doing a phenomenal job for us, and I'm very excited for him. He's having a heck of a season himself, and just the way the different personality and him coming to a team again, as a transfer, they quickly put him in because they respected that work ethic from the day he stepped foot on campus. That very first practice, the whole team was watching him, and just the way he approached his training and the level of intensity and skill that he brought to the room. People quickly knew that this guy was going to be a threat when it came to the NCAA season. So moving on, Garrett Model, and I'll talk to him specifically. Garrett Model, we call him G-Baby, he has been with us 4 years now, I believe 4 years, and G-Baby is just hitting his stride, right? G-Baby has been knocking at the door for the last 2 or 3 years, and we've been saying it time and time again that this guy is this close. He's this close. He's this close. He would come within a point of beating a really good guy, or somebody that on paper he shouldn't have been being able to compete with. He was this close, and then now you're starting to see the success because he's bought into the different level of techniques and different things, and really shoring up his baseline skill and understanding the techniques and tactics. And he goes and beats a guy like Brayton Lee, and he's knocking at the door. And I'm very grateful that he's got another year underneath his belt next year as well. So. G-Baby is doing a phenomenal job, and very, very grateful for him. Again, another leader, a guy who was voted a team captain from us, and again, another guy that's not gonna be in the room yelling at anybody, but he leads by example. He gives everything he possibly has every single time he walks into the room. And when your leaders are those type of guys from within, they're like an extension of your coaching staff because they understand your standard as a coaching staff and they preach it within the circle, which is amazing. You need that. Your culture is built. You need 3 or 4 leaders that are continually, saying those things within the program, and we've got those guys. So moving on, 165, DJ Hamidi. And this is a guy I can spend all day talking about because when we recruited DJ Hamidi to the University of Wisconsin, I quickly understood that this guy had high goals, but he was willing to do whatever it took to get to those goals. And when it comes to, obviously staying within the lines of whatever legal, but the intensity that this guy brings to the room, the all-in perspective that he brings every single day in the room. And people ask me this all the time. Why do you think DJ's having so much success when it comes to his freshman year? He's a true freshman. He was wrestling in high school this time last year. Why do you think he's having so much? I have zero surprise because if you've watched for the last 365 days or however many days he's been inside this program, if you would watch, this guy does extra every single day. He's jumping rope. He's doing grip work. He's doing extra push-ups. He's doing this. He's asking for extra technique. Every single day, this dude is doing extra. I have zero surprises. I kept telling him too. I was like, DJ, I promise you continue to do these things every day. The little things will add up over time, and over time, you are gaining so much ground on guys that are 4th and 5th year guys at your weight class. I promise you're going to have so much. Just keep putting the work in. Put your head down, do the work. And he's all in. He's having an extreme amount of success. But again, another guy who is he's got a great sense of humor. The guys love him, and they respect that work ethic, right? There's a sense of respect because this guy shows up every single day. There's not a run, a lift, a wrestle. The way he treats people, it's at 100% every single day, and I love that about him. And he's got a very, very special career ahead of him. And this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to DJ Hamidi, and he's a crowd favorite. The fans love him. 174, 184. These are 2 guys that we've had the privilege to have. Chris Weiler for 2 years. This is his 2nd year, but Andrew McNally, this is his 1st year. Both are transfers from different universities, and both have their own unique stories on how they got to the University of Wisconsin and why they chose the University of Wisconsin. And these guys have been a blessing. The guys love them. They give us your full effort every single time they're on the mat, and they're both figuring out, Big Ten. It's a grind. They're figuring it out as we go, and you can see that they're starting to hit their stride. And Chris Weiler just coming off 2 really, really good wins, ranked wins himself, and I'm very excited about the road ahead for those 2 guys leading into really championship part of the season when it comes to the Big Ten and NCAA championships. 97 in heavyweight, Braxton Amos and Trent Helger. These are our anchors, right? These are our 2 big boys that we fully believe in. And Braxton Amos, again, a very highly touted high school athlete that chose the University of Wisconsin because when he came here, he understood the standard of this program and the way we run things around here, but he quickly was drawn to the intangibles that this university provides its student athletes when it comes to academics, when it comes to anything that you can possibly think of under the sun, when it comes to athletic resources, hot, cold, strength, nutrition, the whole 9 yards. He quickly saw that he could be the best version of himself here, and very excited for him. He's having a great career, and a lot of people ask me, well, is he having as good as a season as you thought he was going to have? Yeah, Braxton's having a great season. He's only lost to a couple guys, and he's right there. He's knocking on the door to be a national champ. He's just got to continue to get better each day, and we're excited for him as we go down this back stretch and lead into the Big Ten championships and NCAAs. And our big boy Trent Helger, everybody calls him Thor. This is probably the best that he has been in his career since we've been here. In his own mentality and in his technical skills and his nutrition, his strength. This is the best version of Trent I've seen in a long time. And he's continued to get better. And he brings in an immense amount of passion to our wrestling room every day. He's that vocal guy that if you're not doing the right thing, he's going to grab you. He's going to bring you back in line. And we love that about him. And he's a natural leader. And again, I'm very excited to have him back next season as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. This team has been super fun to follow this year and really excited. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of youth, so I'm really excited for the future of this team. So I got 3 rapid fire questions and I got two quick questions to wrap up. First rapid fire question. What is your favorite restaurant in Wisconsin?
Favorite restaurant in Wisconsin? Ooh, I would say Inovino. Yeah, off the top, if I had to rapid fire this, Inovino, it's a really great restaurant. It overlooks, it's got like the 12th or 13th floor of a hotel, and it over skyline view of Madison, and you can see the state capitol. It's just a really nice spot. I like to take my wife up there.
Awesome. I think Bono had the same answer.
All right.
What's your favorite event in Wisconsin?
Favorite event in Wisconsin? The favorite one I've been to so far in Wisconsin is probably Green Bay Packer game. I really enjoyed that. I loved going over to the Kohl Center and watching the hockey team. I'm kind of ashamed that I've been in Madison almost 4 years now, and I've probably seen about a fourth of it. So my wife's into trying new things, and we're trying to get around Madison and try all these different restaurants and go to as many events as we can. But we got so much time.
Yeah. And you guys go to Badger football games a lot.
Yeah. I guess I should have said that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge college football guy, so anytime I can get out there and I'm the guy yelling in the stands calling plays. So
nice. All right, last rapid fire one. Where's your favorite place to hang out in Wisconsin other than the wrestling room?
Oh, I like to take my kids up to the Dells. We take them up to the water parks. We take them up. There's a really cool restaurant up there. I got 2 little young ones, 5 and a 3-year-old. There's a restaurant up there. I don't know the name of it, but it's you order your food and it comes out on this little train and it stops right at your table. My kids love it, so we go there quite often. But the Dells is a really cool spot for families. It's very affordable. It's very it's kind of a one-stop shop. Anything you want to do, you can do in the Dells.
Yeah, and they host a lot of wrestling tournaments too.
They did, and that was really cool to see them kind of flourish through this COVID. I think every event in the U.S. was held right there in the Dells. They did awesome.
For sure. All right, 2 final questions, then we can wrap up. I know you've only been in Wisconsin for 4 years, but how has Wisconsin helped shape you into who you are?
Well, I think it's exposed me to another level of just of resources and excellence and what I really love about this place is when we first got on campus and the athletic department kind of was talking to us, and I quickly could understand that this place, they want to win, and they're not ashamed to tell you they want to win. And that fires me up because I don't want to be a part of a program that just wants to graduate people and that's okay. Your job will be safe because we're going to graduate people and that's zero problems. But I want to be a part of a program that wants to win, and they want to win at a high level, and they understand they're going to do it the right way. In the University of Wisconsin, they're not ashamed to say this is a winning program and this is a winning athletic department. We want to win. We want to win. We want to win now. So that was really cool, and again, it just kind of fires me up. I'm very passionate about this sport. Number one, I'm very passionate about what it's done to me as an individual, and I want to give back to my athletes, and I want to uplift them and impact them in a way that they're going to help, it's going to help accomplish their goals and be the best version of themselves. Because ultimately, Corey, at the end of their careers, they're going to look back on those lessons that they learned here at the University of Wisconsin, and this is a very pivotal moment in their life as a young adult. When they go on and they graduate, they're going to be. I want them to be the best citizens and the best fathers and husbands and mentors, and you fill in the blanks for their kids and their wives and. Those mentalities and those lessons they learned here are going to be with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, for sure. Last question. You kind of alluded to it a bit here, but this ties back into the name Wisco Legacy. I ask everybody on the podcast this. So when all is said and done, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
Well, I just want to be I want to be that guy that they look back and and this is a passion of mine, and not a passion, but just a hope. And when I'm all done with my coaching career and they look back and they, I'm that kind of guy that it was reliable, was a coach that was passionate about their goals and, trustworthy, the whole 9 yards, right? I have so many things that come into my brain right now, but when it comes to my Wisco legacy, I want to do it. I want to win. I want to win at a high level. I want to do it the right way. I want to do it with people that I love and people that I care about. I'm very grateful to be here at the University of Wisconsin with my brothers on staff and these student athletes that I love them like they're my own kids. And I know they're giving me their absolute best every single day, and it's my duty to give my absolute best to them every single day.
That's awesome. You're definitely living up to that legacy. So, anything else before we wrap up?
Let's go, man. I appreciate all you guys tuning in and you guys give this a share. And I'm very open on social media. You can find me anywhere. I'll always message you back if you have a question or a thought or anything. Drop me a message. I'd love to chat. If it's within reason. I'm very passionate about what we do and very grateful to have been on the show, Corey. And hope to see you at another Badger Duel coming up soon. Absolutely. Appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for joining Wisco Legacy. Let's go. I don't know how you leave that interview not being fired up from hearing about Coach Reader. Coach Bono, Coach Reader, Coach Gross, they're building a tremendous program here in Wisconsin. Really excited to see what the future has in store for them. Go check out Coach Reader, Wisconsin Wrestling, and the Wisconsin Regional Training Center on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go follow their pages here. And if you like this podcast, we're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe, leave us a rating and review. Really would help us bump up levels here at Wisco Legacy. We're all about talking to inspiring Wisconsinites and hearing about their journey through life. So if you have anybody in mind, feel free to reach out. Really excited to continue down this journey. Coach Reader, thank you for joining Wisco Legacy. It was a blast.